Hello, this Toon Boom video that's just going over all the Toon Boom stuff that I'm aware of is going to be broken up into two parts because 42 minutes is very long. So it's going to be broken up into two parts. One part where it's the first half and second part where it's the second half. I mean, it's kind of obvious it's a two-parter, but if you want to see the other part, I will link it after this one ends or right before it ends. So yeah, stick around for second part. Okay, we're getting into the video. Bye! Hey, hello. I'm just gonna do a quick little, I don't know if this counts as a tutorial, but just an overview of how Toon Boom Harmony works. I'm using the 2025 version, so any of the other versions may not, have all the same things or have all the same, I guess, tools as this version, but you know, it is what it is. Just a quick preface. I am not a professional animator. I only been using this since 21, and I've only really used it in certain ways, so I do not know all of the tools, but I will just be explaining some of the basics just to get started in animating frame by frame kind of thing. So let's start by opening up the program, which actually I should double click it. Also, I'm using a Mac, so if you're using an HP or Windows, it might be a little different. I'm not sure. Okay, there you go. Okay, so I feel like the first thing I should mention is this part, the opening screen. It does not resize, but you know, it just gives you a little basic, you know, scene setup where you're going to save it and all the extra stuff like size of the canvas and frame rate. I usually leave the frame rate as 24 FPS because that's the animation standard, but you can always change this stuff. And I believe you can also save presets, because like this is a preset with different ratio, frame rate, all kinds of things. So there's multiple options. I just leave it at the normal. Now, since I already made a scene for this before, because I recorded this before, I'm just going to open that one, which if you're opening scenes, it will either appear here or you'd have to click open. But because it's here, I'm just going to click on it here, and it will open the file. Okay, I'm going to clear some of this out because I didn't get to do this prematurely, so one moment while I control select this stuff. Okay, so we're starting from scratch here. So usually upon first making a file, color card will not be there. It'll just look like this. And you will not know, it will be very confusing on first click, but don't worry, I'm going to explain all these features and how to go about using them. So I got you. Let me make sure I remove these extra layers. Okay, so this is what it will look like most likely. That or you won't be selected on the select, but whatever, it's just empty. So usually I like to turn on color card, which you press on this plus button, and color card. I know there's another way of doing it, but this is the way I usually do it. And of course you get flashbang because it's set as white, so you have to double click on here and go to alpha, the little block here, and it gives you this color wheel-esque thing, but in red, green, blue. I usually do not like having it set this way because it's really confusing for me, so I switch it over to hue, which is right here. And there's also multiple wheel mode where you just click on this and you can see them all, but I just usually leave it as hue because that's just a normal thing I'm used to. I'm going to set to a blue because I like blue, and that's what the original background was, so there you go. And then once you do it, it automatically saves that, so you also can rename it, but it's not really necessary. There's also a way to do this in node view where you just click on the box here and it gives you the same option. But node view can be confusing, and I don't like messing with it because I don't understand it fully, because I don't really mess with it. So you'll have to look more into that yourself if you want to learn more about node view. It's a lot of extra stuff for compositing from my knowledge, but yeah. Then I usually just make a drawing layer, well, it usually comes with a drawing layer, but if you want another drawing layer, again, it's all here. There's so many different options here, but usually you probably either will use color card and drawing, but since there's already a layer for that, I'm not going to mess with that. Okay, so after just briefly setting up here, you might want to do some preference changes before really jumping into it. Also, as a heads up, if you're using a school computer like in the labs, you do not have to worry about any settings affecting other users. You can adjust the settings as you please, and it will only affect your account. So don't worry about that, don't worry about that. So usually if you want to mess with preferences, I think on HP you have to go to File and then it'll have Preferences. Don't quote me on that because I can't remember. But for Macs, you press on the name Harmony here, and then Preferences are right here. Same with keyboard shortcuts. They're in the same area. So once you go to Preferences, something I suggest turning on is Save Scene Automatically. Let me resize. I can't resize this. Oops, I forgot that. But you can change the time, like minutes wise. I have it set to 5 because a lot can happen in 10 minutes, so I just set it down to 5. And you can turn on Ask Before Saving, but I don't have it turned on because it's kind of annoying. And if I'm not in front of the computer, I don't want it asking and not saving. So yeah. Another thing that I'd like to mention is let me see, where is it at? Advanced. Support overlay and underlay arts, which is really just layers, but that's how you toggle these extra on, if you're wondering. You turn it off, these two will disappear, the top and bottom will disappear, but if you turn it on, those two will appear. Because I already have these set up though, I'm just going to close this. Oh, there goes autosave. Yeah, so that's just like a basic setup. If you want to mess with the keyboard shortcuts because you don't like the ones prematurely set, you can go in here and edit them. I personally am just going to leave it alone because I don't really use the keyboard shortcuts, surprisingly enough. But if you want it set to your preferred buttons for drawing programs or whatnot, you can always go through here and edit it. Just keep in mind, most of the keyboard shortcuts have already been preset, so if you try to change one, it'll probably say, oh, another one already has this, or it'll conflict with another, so just keep that in mind when changing out keyboard shortcuts. Now for the tools themselves. Of course, we have our basic select tool with multiple options. I feel like the three most important ones, in my opinion, is the color select, like select by color, which means if you have something, let me give an example real quick. If you have color select, which you also can access here just by clicking on the icon, if you have this turned on and select on a specific color, it will only select that color. Which, let me layer an additional thing of red on top of this to show you that it also just selects all that color, not just the one you click on. It can be very useful when you're trying to just get a specific color and just move it around or alter it. So yeah, that's helpful. And then in addition, we have these two buttons. These buttons right here are the most important in my opinion. This one specifically selects, like if you do a selection and there's multiple layers here, it will select all the layers underneath in that selection area. And as for this one, it selects all the frames. As you see, apply to all frames has toggled on. If you have multiple frames within this, like your lasso range that you do, it will select everything here, which comes in handy when you're trying to convert everything into color art, which I'll explain that in a minute. But our next thing is just a warping tool, which has multiple different options here. It kind of explains itself by the name, but I will just do a quick example. You know, this one, just access perspective warp, which is pretty cool. Again, there's all kinds of tools in here, so if you want to test it out, again, if you have used vector programming like Adobe Illustrator, some of these tools will be familiar. So don't worry too much. It acts similar to that since this is a vector-based program. So you should be fine. Yeah. But yeah, for the most part, I just leave it the way it is. Because I normally just hand draw all my frames, so. Also, just as an additional thing I forgot to mention for selection, you can flip things around. It's kind of explanatory here, because the image. And this button. This is color, sending your line art to color art. So if I press this here, you see these blues? These blue sections here? That means these are areas that can be filled in with color. So I'll just select here. Oh, okay, yeah. That's why it wasn't working. You see these open spots? If it's open like this, it will not fill because it will bleed out and it doesn't want to do that. So to keep from having the headache, it doesn't do that. Which can be annoying sometimes, but you know, it at least tells you there's open gaps. But if I select here, see, it fills in. It's because those areas are fully covered, so you don't have to worry about it spilling out. It's pretty straightforward. I like that. So yay! You also can access the color art just by sending a line art to color art just by this button as well. You don't have to select your whole frame and then send it if you don't want to. You just press this and it does the same thing. And this is flatten. I'll just say I don't use flatten that often because when doing line art, sometimes I want to fix or change things when selecting, and flattening can be a bit of a headache. But if you want to flatten things, you can. It just is very situational, I'd say. Of course, we have our brush tools. We have the normal paintbrush, which, you know, self-explanatory. It's just a paintbrush. This is draw behind. So if you draw here, it just goes behind it. It's very cool. Again, sometimes the imagery can be confusing, so I will forget sometimes because I don't always use these buttons. But yeah, you draw behind. This is just, you color it in immediately. Which, if you're doing like silhouette stuff, or just trying to quick fill areas, it's probably very useful. Just keep in mind that it sometimes will not, like if you don't finish the thing, it will not do it. It's only if you do a full finished shape. So let me try and get this. There you go. Just trying to do a silhouette of a hand real quick. No reason, I just want to. Okay, it looks kind of rough because it's silhouette, but yeah, it's self-explanatory. It just instantly fills. Also, if you delete line art, it will not get rid of the color art, so you have to manually clear it if you want to get rid of it. Which, another way to get rid of it is just by pressing this button, and it just clears it, and it's all gone. Which also comes in handy later. I'll explain that in a second. But another button is making your line art immediately go to the color art. This honestly should be toggled on more often than not if you know that you're going to do your line art properly the first time and not have to like erase and redo things. You do your little face. Like, for example, I just kind of know I'm not going to erase things and redo it, so having this turned on just kind of saves you the headache of having to go up here and press the button. But I don't, like, if you think you're going to be erasing and redoing stuff, do not do that, because sometimes the original, or in this example actually, the original line art did not go away. It's still there, which I'll do a more drastic example here. Okay, you see the line art from the original, like the color art, is still there. So sometimes it will be a little bit of a headache because you have to color in both sections and it won't just fulfill the whole thing. So if you don't want to deal with that, then probably do not have this turned on. But if you know you're going to just ace it first time around, then turn it on. It saves you time. Let me actually just clear it like that. This one, it's auto flatten. So if you're doing line art like this, again, I'm just going to draw an eye and then send it to color art. You know, it still connects like that. But the thing is, if you select, it's just all connected. It's not separate pieces. So if I click on this, it's just all connected. If it connects in some sort of way to another piece, I'm pretty sure it automatically connects them all. So I don't like having this turned on just because I like fixing things. And if you want to go and fix line art, so let's say you draw a hand. Why am I drawing hands? I like drawing hands. But you draw a hand, and then you say, "Oh wait, but I want to actually change this wrist." You kind of can't, because anything that connects to another piece is automatically flattening and connecting. So you'd have to redo all that. And if you don't want to go through that headache, I suggest not having this turned on. It has its purposes, all of the buttons do. It's just me personally, I don't have most of them turned on because I have dealt with different scenarios where I'd get annoyed with it, and I just find it easier having none of them turned on. But yeah, I mean, also if you want to fix your canvas to the original viewing, you just click on this. It goes back to that. We'll zoom in, so yay. Brush works a little differently, or pencil, whatever it's called. The thing I was talking about with the pencil, you go here, there's a little light, and you make sure this is turned up because this will happen, and it's very trippy. I didn't know this was a thing back when I first started, so I just avoid using this tool a lot, and then when I realized, oh, that's how you fix it, I kind of use it a little more now, because I know. But yeah, have that turned on in case it may not be very nice for you to deal with. But you know, of course, this works similarly to the paintbrush. The only difference here is there's a couple more options. It's just there's like a couple more, but like they don't do as much. So I normally leave them alone anyway too. So again, all you really needed to know is just the basics, and this trim. This is what I was looking for. So if you want to just draw a circle, it instantly trims it off. It's good for like drawing specific shapes, but it could be a little bit annoying if you're trying to like have it overshoot like that. If you're trying to have it overshoot, it's probably annoying, but it's an option. So yeah, you could definitely test that out if you want to. There's a stamp tool. Honestly, it's good for patterns or just like basic shapes, but I don't use it that often because I don't really need it like that. But you know, use some hearts. I used this one before. It was kind of fun to use. That's like a background element. But again, you don't really need the stamp as much. And of course the eraser. It's just an eraser. It kind of works the same as all other erasers. So with similar stuff, this one just kind of just cuts it a certain way, but it works the same. We have the usual text tool. Again, it works the same as any text tool. You just type, and it text tools. I don't know what to say. It's honestly just a normal text tool. Same with the shapes. Again, it works basically the same as any other shape. So I don't mess with this as often. But yes, there you go.